Good morning, my dear friend. The world is just beginning to stir. The sky is still soft with the fading hues of night, and a gentle stillness hangs in the air before the full weight of the day arrives. This is the sacred hush of morning, the quiet space where heaven feels a little closer and your heart can breathe a little deeper. While the rest of the world may still be asleep, you have come here, and that says something powerful about the posture of your soul. Perhaps you did not arrive here with peace. Maybe you are not sitting in this moment out of strength, but out of exhaustion. Maybe you woke up carrying something heavy, a disappointment you can't put into words, a fear that steals your breath when no one else is around. Or perhaps it is the ache of losing something or someone you loved. If so, you are not alone. We do not always arrive at sacred places feeling holy. Sometimes we show up with shaking hands, tear-stained memories, and more questions than answers. I once heard a story about a woman who sat alone in her car in a hospital parking lot. She had just received news that unraveled her world. Her body was present, but her spirit was drowning in the questions. What now? How do I move forward when everything I believed in seems to be falling apart? She was not angry. She was not dramatic. She was just silent, numb, paralyzed by fear. And yet, in that silence, she whispered one sentence through trembling lips. God, I do not even know what to say, but I need you. And something in the atmosphere shifted, not outside of her, but within her. Not everything was fixed, but something was anchored. That is the power of a heart turned toward heaven. That is the beauty of prayer, not a formula, not a performance, but a sacred conversation that begins right where you are. You do not have to be polished. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to be honest. Prayer is not for the strong who have everything together. It is for the humble, the weary, the broken who dare to believe that there is still a God who listens. This moment, right now, is an invitation, not from me, but from the one who created you, the one who sees beneath your surface and loves you anyway. He is not waiting for you to clean up. He is simply waiting for you to come, just as you are, with all that you are, whether you are hanging by a thread or holding on with faith. You are welcome here. There is strength in choosing to begin your day with God, in a world that rushes and roars. This quiet turning of the heart is an act of faith, a declaration that says, before I face the world, I choose to face the one who holds it. And when you make that choice, something powerful begins to unfold, not always instantly, not always visibly, but deeply, lastingly, eternally. So, if you are ready, take a breath. Release whatever is clenching your chest. This is not about pressure or perfection. This is about presence. Your presence. God's presence, and the sacred meeting place between the two. Let this be more than just a few moments of inspiration. Let it be the start of a conversation, a return, a rebuilding, a reawakening, the kind your soul has been longing for. You do not have to have all the answers. You just have to show up And now you already have. Welcome to the quiet place. Let your heart speak. Let your spirit rise. And above all else, let yourself be loved. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning I come to you with an honest heart. I do not come pretending to be strong or full of peace. I come quietly, because deep inside I feel empty. I come because I cannot carry the weight of this day without you. I come because something in me knows that before I speak to anyone else, I need to speak to you. I do not have fancy words or polished prayers. I only have this moment and this breath. And with it, I turn to you. I wake up with the world still heavy on my chest. The silence of the morning does not quiet the noise inside me. There is an ache in my soul that I cannot explain, a tiredness that goes beyond my body. Maybe it is from all the waiting. Maybe it is from all the pretending. Maybe it is from carrying burdens that were never mine to hold. But here I am, awake, a little unsure, a little bruised by yesterday, and hoping that somehow you are still near. Lord, I do not feel holy today. I do not feel strong. I feel ordinary. Worn out, like someone who has tried to hold it all together, but has come to the edge of herself. I have smiled when I wanted to cry. I have spoken kindness when I was breaking inside. I have shown up when I wanted to disappear. And still, this ache follows me. This quiet wondering. Do you see me still? Do you care about this fragile, quiet heart that stumbles through mornings like this one? I do not ask for big things right now. I only ask for something real. I do not need all the answers. I just need to know that you are here. I need to know that I am not invisible to you. That in the middle of this quiet moment, your eyes still see me, and your heart still cares. I do not want to perform. I just want to be real. I just want to bring this morning to you as it is, with all its rawness and all its silence. I want to meet you in the place where my words fail and my soul still reaches. Some mornings begin with joy. This one begins with emptiness. But even so, I believe that you meet me here. Not because I earned it. Not because I prayed right. Because you are the kind of father who comes close to the broken-hearted. You are the kind of God who steps into silence and fills it with comfort. You do not wait for me to be perfect. You wait for me to be honest. And that is what I offer today. Honesty. Weakness. A whisper instead of a shout. There are places in me that feel numb. There are memories I try to forget. There are wounds I pretend do not matter. But I bring them now, not to impress you, just to stop hiding. You already know them anyway. You already see the tears that never fell. You already hear the questions I am too afraid to ask. You already understand the awareness I cannot explain to anyone else. So I lay them down, right here at the start of the day. I choose to stop running. I choose to come back. You are not a distant God. I know this in my mind, but help me believe it again in my heart. Let this morning not be just another routine. Let it be a moment that matters. Let it be a doorway where your presence steps into the corners of my life I have closed off for too long. Let it be the beginning of something new. Not loud, not sudden, but gentle, a slow return, a quiet surrender. If you are the God who created the sunrise, then you are the same God who can bring light into the dim places of my heart. If you are the God who shaped the mountains, then surely you can carry this heaviness that I cannot shake. If you are the God who knows every star by name, then you surely know mine too. And if you see the sparrow when it falls, then I can trust that you see me in this moment. Trying to believe again, trying to find my way back to you. I do not bring perfection to you. I bring the pieces of me that I still do not know how to fix. I bring the quiet griefs, the unnamed fears, the restless thoughts. I bring the unanswered prayers and the dreams that have faded in the waiting. I bring the questions that still echo in the back of mind when the world gets quiet. I bring the weight of feeling like I should be further along, stronger, more faithful. But I lay that down too, because you never asked me to impress you. You only asked me to come. So here I am, Lord, not as I wish to be, but as I truly am. Open, tired, a little worn, but willing to let you see me, willing to sit with you in the stillness, willing to let you touch the parts of me that I have buried. I do not need you to fix everything right now. I just need to know you are here. I need the gentle reminder that my emptiness is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of something sacred, the beginning of return, the beginning of connection, the beginning of trust. I believe you still whisper in the silence. I believe you still reach for the ones who feel far away. I believe you still choose mornings like this one to remind us that we are not forgotten, that even the hollow places can be filled again, that even dry hearts can live again. So breathe on me, Lord, in the way only you can. Meet me here in this still and honest moment. Let this emptiness become the space where you speak again. Let this be the day that begins with brokenness, but ends with the nearness of your love. Lord, something inside me is crying out, deeper than words can express. It rises slowly, like a tide I cannot hold back, pressing against the walls I have built around my soul. I thought I could keep my prayers simple today, keep them quiet, maybe even avoid saying too much. But as I sit here, still before you, I feel the cry forming not in my mouth, but in my spirit. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it is real. It is the cry of someone who needs you not later, not eventually, but now. I do not even know where this H comes from. It feels older than yesterday, deeper than one circumstance. It is the H of my spirit remembering something sacred. I have gone too long without. Maybe I have tried to satisfy it with noise, with distractions, with achievements or approval, but nothing fills it. And now I know why. It was never meant to be filled by anything but you. So I stop running. I stop reaching for lesser things. I turn to the only one who can truly hear me when my heart has no language. God, I am not asking you to fix everything today. I am asking you to find me in this place where I feel undone. There are no crowds here. No one is watching. This is just you and me. I bring you not only my thoughts, but the parts of me I cannot name, the tensions I carry in my chest, the heaviness I cannot explain to anyone else. the shadows that follow me, even into the light. I bring you the exhaustion of being strong for too long, and I bring you the fear of what might happen if I truly let go. Sometimes I fear that if I open this cry too wide, I will not be able to contain it again. But today I choose to stop fearing what honesty might reveal. You already know the depth of my being. You already understand the corners I try to avoid. So I come open, not out of bravery, but because I am too tired to be closed anymore. I have learned how to survive. I have learned how to keep moving. But I want more than survival. I want to live from a heart that is whole, not just functioning. I want to live from a soul that is free, not just busy. And I know I cannot get there by pretending I am fine. I must let my cry reach you. I must let the soundless ache inside me rise into the open, even if it is messy, even if it is unpolished, even if it breaks something open in me that I cannot control. So here I am, letting the cry rise, not the cry of despair, but the cry of need, not a cry of panic, but a cry of surrender. It is not dramatic, it is deep. It is the sound of longing finally being released. I cry out not because I doubt you are near, but because I need to know that you hear me right here. In the thick of my reality, I need to know that this whisper inside me is not too small for you to notice, that my tears, even when they do not fall, are still seen by you. Lord, I do not cry for attention. I cry because I need a touch that goes beyond human comfort. I need peace that cannot be shaken by the next disappointment. I need clarity that does not fade when things get hard again. I need you not as an idea, not as a tradition, but as the breath that steadies my own. There is something sacred about letting this cry rise. It is not weakness. It is the deepest form of honesty. It is the moment where I stop speaking and my spirit begins to speak for me. A place where the words become simple. God, I need you. That is all I know. That is all I can say without overthinking, without dressing it up. Just this, I need you. And I trust that you will not turn away. I trust that you are not waiting for eloquence. You are waiting for truth. You are not impressed by strength. You are moved by sincerity. And right now, this is the truest prayer I can pray, not long, not loud, but full of longing. A prayer that does not ask for more, but asks for you. I believe that when my spirit cries, something in you listens. I believe that this morning is not ordinary just because it feels quiet. It is holy because it is honest. It is sacred because it is surrendered. And I believe that deep calls to deep, that when I allow the deepest part of me to cry out, the deepest part of you responds. So I lean into this silence. I do not rush past it. I do not run from it. I let the cry of my spirit stay open, trusting that it reaches your heart. Even when I do not hear an answer right away, I let the cry of my spirit say what my words cannot. I let it carry the weight of everything I do not understand. I let it rise like incense, raw, imperfect, but offered. And as I sit in this place, I realize something unexpected. The cry itself is a sign of hope. If I were truly lost, I would not be reaching. If I were truly disconnected, I would not still be turning to you. So even as the cry aches, it also proves something beautiful, that deep down, I still believe you are listening. I still believe you are worth reaching for. I still believe that no matter how far I feel, I am never beyond your reach. So I will keep crying out, not in panic, not in despair, but in trust. I will let the cry rise again tomorrow if it needs to. I will let it remind me that my soul is alive, that my spirit has not been silenced by fear, that my need is not a weakness, but a doorway. And through that doorway, I know you will meet me not with judgment, but with presence, not with answers, but with yourself. This cry is not the end. It is the beginning of return, the beginning of something real again, the beginning of healing that flows not from solutions, but from sacred connection. I do not know what comes next. I do not need to. I only need to keep crying out, and so I will. From this moment, from this stillness, from this honest place where you are already drawing near. God, as the cry of my soul softens into quiet longing, something begins to stir that I did not expect, alongside the ache and the emptiness. I feel a gentle memory rising. It is faint at first, like a distant melody I have not heard in years, but it grows clearer the more I allow it to surface. It is a memory of you, not of a doctrine or idea, but of moments that carried your unmistakable presence. And as I sit with these memories, my heart starts to remember how close you have been. Even when I had forgotten, you have always had a way of showing up when I least expect it, not always through dramatic signs, but in subtle, sacred ways that lingered longer than I realized. I remember sitting alone, convinced no one saw me, and then sensing a stillness that wrapped around me like peace. I remember walking through days where nothing made sense. Yet somehow I made it to the end of them. That was not luck. That was you. I see it now, clearer than before. You were in the silence. You were in the waiting. You were in the strength I did not know I had. There were times when I thought I was falling apart, but looking back, I see I was being held together. There were mornings I woke up with dread, but still found enough courage to face the day. There were nights I cried quietly, thinking no one knew but you knew. You were there when no one else could be. You were enough when nothing else was. I do not always notice your hand while I am walking through the shadows. But now, in hindsight, I see the fingerprints of grace all over my journey. Father, let these memories grow louder. Let them speak louder than my fear. Let them drown out the doubts that keep whispering that I have gone too far or waited too long. Remind me of the times you answered when I did not deserve it. Remind me of the peace that found me when I had given up looking. Remind me of how you rescued me not once, but over and over again. You have always been writing redemption into my story, even when I thought the chapters were closing. I remember the day I sat in silence, asked just one sign that you were near, and out of nowhere, peace settled like sunlight through the trees. I remember the conversation I needed most came from someone who had no idea what I was walking through. I remember the moment the words on a page or the lyrics of a song pierced straight through my defenses and landed in the center of my need. That was you. Always you. I have seen what you can do, God. I have tasted what it feels like to be comforted without explanation, to be lifted without effort, to be loved without condition. So even now, when I feel uncertain about the future, I will not pretend the past holds no evidence of your faithfulness. My memory is not perfect, but you have placed enough moments in my story that still shine, even when everything else feels dim. Let me hold on to what I know. Let me remember what has been true, even when my emotions shift. You have been faithful, not just in general, but to me specifically, personally, patiently. You did not forget me then, and you will not forget me now. I may not always recognize you in the present, but I will not deny you in the past. Because you were there, and I was never alone. Sometimes I forget how far you have brought me. I forget how many things I have survived that I once thought would break me. But you were working in every step I took, even the ones that led through pain. You were steady when I was scattered. You were kind when I was cold. And you were near, even when I was unaware. I see it now. I remember now. And that remembering gives me strength. Lord, help me build an altar of remembrance in my heart, not as a monument to pain, but as a testimony to grace. Let me carry those memories not as burdens, but as reminders of your goodness. Let them become stones of strength I can return to when the road ahead feels uncertain. I may not know what is coming, but I know the one who brought me this far. I know the one who never let go. I want to be someone who does not forget, someone who does not let time and worry erase what you have done, someone who stores up your goodness like treasure in the soul. Help me guard those memories from doubt. Help me revisit them in the dry seasons, in the quiet stretches, in the in-between spaces. Let them be fuel when my faith flickers low. Let them be water when my spirit feels dry. Sometimes all it takes is one memory to bring everything back into focus. One glimpse of what you have already done to remind me of what you are still doing. One whisper from the past that tells me you are not finished. One echo of mercy that silences fear. So I open myself to remembering not as an escape, but as a grounding. You have always been faithful, and you will be again. Thank you for walking with me through more than I realized. Thank you for showing up in places I tried to hide. Thank you for loving me not just when I was strong, but when I was barely holding on. Thank you for giving me a history with you that cannot be erased by present troubles. Let these memories become anchors not to hold me back, but to hold me steady. Let them lift my eyes from my pain to your promises. Let them stir something holy inside me that begins to hope again. Even as I sit here today, still waiting for answers, still holding unanswered prayers, I can feel the shift. Gratitude begins to rise, not because everything is fixed, because I can see you again, not just in theory, but in history. You were good to me, and you still are. You were close then, and you are no further now. You are still writing beauty into my days. You are still holding what I cannot. You are still worthy of my trust. I remember now. I remember you. And in that remembering, something in me begins to breathe again. Something in me begins to believe again. Not because the path ahead is clear, but because the path behind tells the truth. And the truth is, I have never walked alone. Not then. Not now. Not ever. Father, as the memories of your faithfulness echo in my heart, they begin to gently uncover something I had not expected. Beneath the gratitude, beneath the peace that remembering brings, there is a quiet confrontation taking place within me, a realization that much of my unrest, my fear, my striving has come not from outside circumstances, but from my own hands holding too tightly to what was never mine to control. I have clung to plans, shaped outcomes in my mind, and pressed forward with the belief that if I could just keep everything in order, I would finally find peace. But the more I tried to hold things together, the more fragmented I became. I called it responsibility. I called it preparation. But often, it was fear disguised as strength, a fear that if I let go, everything would fall apart, a fear that if I truly surrendered, I would lose the little stability I had left. But God, I can feel you inviting me to loosen my grip. Not because you want to take something from me, but because you want to give me something deeper. You want to give me rest. You want to give me the peace that only comes when my soul is no longer trying to prove or perform or control what is beyond my reach. You want to teach me how to live open-handed. Not because life is certain, but because you are. Lord, I have chased after so many versions of control, the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect appearance. I have tried to keep everyone around me comfortable so I would not be rejected. I have tried to work harder, do better, be more. But I am tired of chasing an image that was never meant to define me. I am tired of trying to be strong when all I want is to be real. So I bring you my illusions, the ones I have relied on to keep fear at bay. The illusion that I have to know what is next. The illusion that I must fix what is broken. The illusion that my value depends on my performance. I lay them all down, one by one, because they have weighed far more than I realized. They have pressed on my chest in the quiet hours. They have robbed me of sleep and joy and stillness. God, I know surrender does not mean giving up. It means giving over. And I want to give over every piece of me that is still trying to be its own God. I want to place into your hands the things that were never mine to control in the first place. My future, my relationships, my reputation, my healing, my purpose, my time, my heart. I place them before you not in panic, but in faith, because I trust that your hands are stronger, steadier, and far more loving than mine will ever be. Let this be the morning I stop pretending that I have it all together. Let this be the day I stop demanding that life look the way I imagined. Let this be the moment I stop bargaining with you and start believing in you. I cannot chart my course better than you can. I cannot write a more beautiful story than the one you are already unfolding. I cannot outrun your grace or outplan your wisdom. So I surrender. Not just the obvious things, but the hidden ones, too. The expectations I carry in silence, the deadlines I place on healing, the timelines I build around blessings, the assumptions I hold about what obedience should produce. I surrender not because I have run out of options, but because I have finally realized that you were the only option that ever mattered. I surrender because I want to stop resisting the very one who loves me most. It is scary, Lord. I want to pretend otherwise. There is a part of me that still wants to hold back, still wants to negotiate, still wants to keep a little corner of control, just in case. But I bring even that hesitation to you. I do not want to live a half-surrendered life. I do not want to offer you my worship while keeping the reins in my own hands. I want my faith to be more than words. I want it to show up in the way I release, the way I yield, the way I trust. So take the pieces I have been gripping so tightly. Take the fear that has wrapped itself around my confidence. Take the lies I have believed about needing to be enough for everyone and everything. Take the burdens I was never designed to carry, and replace them with the strength that comes from leaning wholly on you. Not partially, not conditionally, but completely. Father, help me surrender even my desire to understand. There are questions I will not have answers to. There are paths I will not see clearly until I am already walking them. Help me be at peace with not knowing. Help me rest in the assurance that even when I cannot trace your hand, I can trust your heart. You are not a God who withholds out of cruelty, but who waits for the moment I am ready to receive without resistance. Teach me what it means to live surrendered, not just when it is easy, not just when it is obvious, but when it costs something, when it requires letting go of control I thought I needed. Let me live as one who has found freedom in dependence. Let me become the kind of person who trusts you so deeply that obedience flows not from duty, but from delight. I know I will have to surrender again tomorrow, and the day after that. But today, in this moment, I choose to begin. I open my hands and release what I cannot carry. I open my heart and release what I cannot fix. I open my mind and release what I cannot control. And in that release, I make room for peace, for purpose, for your presence. Thank you for being patient with me, for never forcing my surrender, but always inviting it, for waiting through my resistance and welcoming me when I finally turn back. You do not shame me for holding on too long. You simply offer rest the moment I am ready to receive it. So let this be the moment. Not dramatic, not perfect, but honest. Let this be the beginning of a life no longer built on illusion, but rooted in trust. You are still God when I am unsure. You are still good when I do not understand. You are still worthy when I feel unworthy. And that is why I surrender, not because I have lost hope, but because I have found it again in you, God. Even as I sit here and surrender, letting go of what I never truly held, I begin to notice something unexpected rising to the surface. It is not shame. It is not regret. It is wonder. Because now I can see more clearly than before that while I have spent so much time trying to manage, control, and perform, you were never the one who walked away. I was the one who turned inward, who rushed past, who silenced the small voice calling me back. And yet, you waited. You waited without punishment. You waited without pressure. Lord, There is something so tender in realizing that you are not in a hurry with me, that while I was hiding behind distractions or pretending to be okay, you were still standing there gentle, steady, faithful. You did not storm in, you did not demand, you simply stayed, knocking quietly, waiting patiently for me to open the door again. What kind of love does that? What kind of God sits in the silence and still calls my name? I do not know how many times I have ignored the invitation, how many mornings I rushed past it, how many nights I closed my heart to you because I was afraid of what I might feel, but you kept waiting. You never forced your way in. You never gave up or moved on. You stayed because your love is not fickle, and your promises are not fragile. You waited because that is who you are, constant in character, unwavering in mercy, and endlessly patient with hearts that take their time to return. And now that I am here, now that my hands are open and my heart is soft, I feel the weight of that patience, not as guilt, but as grace. You did not shame me for wandering. You did not scold me for delaying. You welcomed me the moment I turned. You did not need a speech or proof that I had changed. You just opened the door and met me where I was. I wonder how many times you whispered when I was not listening. I wonder how many tears you saw that I never let fall. I wonder how long you waited, not with disappointment, but with love. God, there is something holy in being seen like this, in being fully known, fully flawed, and still fully wanted. I spent so much energy trying to be worthy, trying to be enough, but you were never waiting on my perfection. You were simply waiting for my permission. You were waiting for me to return. Not polished, but honest. You were waiting for me to realize that the door was never locked, only unopened. And now that I have opened it, I realize you were never far away. Father, teach me to see your waiting not as absence, but as kindness. Teach me to trust that your silence is not distance, but invitation. You could have walked away when I did. You could have stopped knocking, but you did not, because love that endures is not impatient, and mercy that heals does not push. You waited because you knew that love cannot be forced into a wounded heart. It must be welcomed. And you trusted that someday, even if slowly, I would welcome you again. Thank you for waiting through my seasons of noise, through the times I looked everywhere else for answers, through the distractions I used to keep you at a safe distance. Thank you for waiting when I was numb, when I was angry, when I was too tired to try. Thank you for being the same God on the other side of my silence. The same God after the drifting, the same God even when I changed. There is a kind of safety in knowing that you are not going anywhere, that I do not have to earn my way back, that I do not have to explain every wrong turn or replay every missed moment. You already know, and you are still here, still offering peace, still offering presence, still calling me beloved. Sometimes I think you wait not because you have to, but because you want to, because the reunion matters to you, because the moment I return, even in weakness, you find joy in welcoming me again. And that truth humbles me. I am not just tolerated, I am treasured. I am not just received, I am rejoiced over. I see now that waiting is not a pause in love. It is a promise of love that does not end. Lord, help me learn how to wait like you do. Teach me to be patient with myself, with others, with the process of healing and change. Let me not rush through transformation just to feel better. Let me stay present in the slow work of grace. Let me remember that you are not counting the days I stayed away. You are simply celebrating that I came home. Even now, I hear the soft knocking of your voice, not a demand, but an invitation to stay near, to stay honest, to stay with you. I do not want to treat this moment like a visitor. I want to dwell in it. I want to build a life that is shaped by daily returning, daily opening, daily saying yes to the one who never stopped choosing me. God, I am in awe that you waited for me not once, but again and again. Not because you needed me, but because you love me. Because you are the shepherd who leaves the 99. Because you are the father who runs toward the child. Because you are the friend who stays when others leave. You are the God who waits, not at a distance, but at the door. So let my heart respond. Let my soul rise to meet the sound of your quiet call. Let the door remain open not just for this morning, but for every day that follows. Let me live aware of the sacred patience that held space for me when I was lost in the noise. Let me never forget that the first sound of grace is not a shout, but a knock, and that you, holy and unshaken, stood there with open arms, waiting only for me to say yes. Even now, I can feel the warmth of that love, the steady presence that does not withdraw, even when I falter, the voice that does not change tone, even when I change direction. You are not easily discouraged by my slowness. You are not moved by my doubt. You remain, and because you do, I can begin again. There is no fear in this return, no punishment in this homecoming. Only peace. Only belonging. Only the quiet miracle of being wanted by the one who has every reason to turn away, but never does. This is the kind of love that undoes me, that changes how I see everything, that softens even the hardest parts of my story. I want to live from this place, from this revelation, that the God of heaven waits for me, not because I am great, but because you are, not because I deserve it, but because your heart is faithful. And I choose today to open the door, not for a moment, but for good. Father, now that I have seen how gently you waited, how patiently you stood at the door without pushing, I no longer want to linger on the threshold. Something has shifted inside me. What once felt like fear now feels like longing. What once felt like hesitation now feels like invitation. I do not want to keep you at the edge of my life. I want to open the door fully, with intention, with honesty, with my whole heart, not because I am finally worthy, not because I have figured everything out, because I know you are good. I know that whatever waits on the other side of this opening is better than whatever I have tried to manage alone. I have lived long enough behind barriers. I built myself walls of self-protection, layers of distraction, doors quietly closed out of fear that being known would lead to being rejected. But I see now that you were never asking for perfection. You were only waiting for permission. And so, with trembling but willing hands, I reach for the handle I have avoided for too long. I open the door not just in theory, but in practice. I open it not to let you visit, but to let you dwell. Lord, let this not be a temporary opening. Let this not be an emotional response that fades when the day grows busy. I want this to be a turning point, a change of posture, a shift in how I carry my days and how I face my nights. You are not a guest I welcome on occasion. You are the one I want to live with, to walk with, to know deeply. I open the door to you not only in the quiet moments, but in the noisy ones too. Not only in the holy stillness of morning, but in the chaos of ordinary afternoons. I open the door to you in my thoughts, in my reactions, in the way I speak, in the choices I make when no one is looking. I want nothing in me to be off limits anymore. No corner hidden, no room locked, no fear untouched. You are not here to invade. You are here to inhabit. You are here to redeem what I have ruined, to heal what I have buried, to rebuild what I have let go silent. I do not need to prepare some perfect space for you. You come into the mess and call it sacred. You step into my unfiltered reality and name it worthy of your presence. And that is what makes this moment holy, not what I have done, but who you are. God, let my willingness be deeper than emotion. Let it be action. Let it be the kind of openness that allows you to shape what I once tried to control. I do not want to just think about you. I want to make room for you. I want my heart to become a place where you are welcome, not just occasionally, but continually. You know my resistance. You know the stories behind my hesitation, and yet you stay. You come in not with noise, but with gentleness. You fill the space without overwhelming it. You whisper instead of shouting. You do not demand attention. You awaken affection. Father, I confess that sometimes I have asked you to enter, but then pulled back when you got too close. I have wanted comfort, but not correction. I have wanted presence, but not transformation. But now, I want both. I want you to come in fully and be at home in me. Not just to heal what hurts, but to lead what lives. Help me trust that letting you in does not mean losing myself. It means finding who I was always meant to be. It means rediscovering joy not tied to outcomes, peace not based on control, and love that does not have to be earned. It means no longer separating my spiritual life from my real life. It means realizing they were never meant to be two. I welcome you into my real life, into the mornings where I am running late, into the conversations where I feel misunderstood, into the work I dread and the dreams I delay, into the loneliness I cover with distractions, into the questions I hide even from myself. Come into all of it. Sit with me in what is raw. Laugh with me in what is good. Strengthen me in what feels fragile. Let my willingness to open the door become more than a moment. Let it become a way of living. Let it be seen in the way I forgive, in the way I listen, in the way I wait when I would rather run ahead. Let it be seen in how I treat others, how I show mercy, how I hold space for the broken and the tired. Let it change me from the inside out. This opening is not just about today. It is about every day that follows, about building a life that no longer keeps you at arm's length, about choosing to walk with you, not just believe in you, about asking not only what you can do for me, but what you want to do through me. God, I do not want to live on the edge of transformation. I want to walk all the way into it. I want to stop visiting freedom and start living in it. I want to stop admiring surrender from a distance and start practicing it daily. I want you not just at the door, but at the center, not as decoration, but as foundation. So I give you my yes, not the shallow kind, but the kind that costs something, the kind that welcomes you into places I have been too afraid to share, the kind that stays even when it is uncomfortable, the kind that keeps choosing you again and again when emotions fade and routines return. Thank you for knocking patiently, for never forcing your way through, for loving me enough to wait and loving me still when I open slow. I do not deserve that kind of love, but I receive it. I do not understand it fully, but I lean into it. And as I open this door, I feel the air change. I feel the weight shift. I feel the beginning of something I did not even know I needed. This is not just an invitation for you to come in. It is an invitation for me to come alive, to stop hiding, to stop dividing sacred from simple, to live as if you are near, because you are. So come in, Lord, not just for a visit, not just for comfort, but for relationship, for depth, for transformation. I am not afraid anymore, or maybe I am, but I am ready anyway. I am willing, and I am here. Father, now that the door is open and I have invited you in, I find myself wondering what to do next, not in a way that demands instruction, but in a deeper, quieter sense. What does it mean to truly be with you? Not just in the act of asking, but in the act of listening. I have spent so much of my life speaking, explaining, pleading, and processing that the idea of simply sitting with you in stillness feels unfamiliar. But here I am, heart open, and soul ready to learn what it means to hear your voice. God, I realize now that I have often filled the silence out of fear. I feared what I might feel if the noise stopped. I feared what truths might rise if I allowed quiet to take up space. So I surrounded myself with constant activity. Endless thoughts, layers of sound, some of them good, some of them just distractions dressed in purpose. But now that I have made room for you, I do not want to crowd out your voice with my own. I want to listen, not just hear. I want to know you, not just know about you. There is something humbling about silence. It reveals what is buried. It brings to the surface the things I thought I had outrun. But I am not afraid anymore, not because I have all the answers, but because I know the one who does. So in this stillness, I lean in. I want rush. I want force clarity. I will simply wait in the presence of the one who speaks, when the heart is quiet enough to hear. Speak, Lord, not with volume, but with weight. Speak not to impress, but to anchor. I do not need fireworks. I need truth. I do not need a shout. I need a whisper that finds its way into the places I have kept guarded. And I believe you will speak, not always in ways I expect, but always in ways that matter. I do not need to chase signs or wait for thunder. I just need to become still enough to recognize when you are near. Father, teach me the difference between silence and absence. Teach me that stillness is not a void, but a sanctuary. That quiet is not something to escape, but something to embrace. Because in the quiet, I become aware of what has always been true. You are not far. You are here. And when the world is loud and my thoughts are scattered, your voice is the one steady thing that can bring peace to the storm inside me. Help me silence the other voices, the inner noise, the anxious narrative that always seems to run on a loop, the voice that tells me I am behind, the one that whispers I am not enough, the ones that measure worth by progress or performance. Let those voices fade until the only thing I hear is the steady, unwavering truth that comes from you. You are not competing for attention. You are not shouting over the chaos. You are waiting, just as you always have been, for the moment I choose to pause, to be still, to lean in close. You are not in a hurry. You do not demand performance. You meet me here not because of how well I listen, but because of how well you love. God, help me listen with more than my ears. Help me listen with my heart. Let me recognize your voice in the unexpected places, in the quiet conviction that nudges me toward kindness, in the peace that settles even when nothing changes, in the gentle shift that turns anxiety into surrender. You speak in ways that reach deeper than sound. You speak in ways that move things inside me I did not even know were stuck. I do not want to be someone who only hears when life gets loud. I want to be someone who hears when it is quiet, when it is subtle, when it is sacred. I want to become familiar with the sound of your guidance, so that when you speak, I do not question whether it is you. I simply follow, and I know that only comes through time. Through trust, through willingness to keep returning to this quiet space again and again. Let the silence become my teacher. Let it soften my pace and slow my breath. Let it teach me to be present instead of productive. Let it lead me to depend on your voice instead of my plans. In a world that celebrates speed and constant motion, let me be unafraid to pause. Let me choose stillness, not as an escape, but as alignment. I do not need every detail mapped out. I just need one word from you, one whisper of direction, one moment of clarity that reminds me that I do not walk alone. And even if that word does not come today, I will wait, because you are worth the waiting. You are worth the silence. You are worth the stillness. I trust that you are speaking. Even now, maybe not in the way I expected, maybe not with answers to all my questions, but I trust that your voice is near, that it is steady, faithful, and full of wisdom, that it leads with kindness and corrects with compassion, that it does not confuse or condemn, but calls me closer. So I will keep listening. I will listen in the quiet moments and in the noisy ones. I will listen when I feel clear and when I feel uncertain. I will listen not to earn something, but to remain close to the one who knows me best. Father, I surrender my need to always understand. I release the pressure to make sense of everything before I move. I trade control for communion, and in that exchange, I find peace. I find connection. I find the quiet miracle of knowing that I am not alone. Even when all is still, let my life become a listening life. Let my heart be a resting place for your whispers. Let my decisions flow from discernment, not reaction. Let my days be led by the one who sees the end from the beginning. You are not far. You are not silent. You are just waiting for me to be still enough to know. And now, I know. Father, now that I have learned to sit still and listen, now that I have made space for your voice to reach beyond the noise, I cannot help but feel a gentle stirring inside me, an ache not of despair, but of conviction. It is not loud or crushing. It does not shame or accuse. It is quiet and persistent, a sacred invitation to come even closer by laying down what no longer belongs in me. It is the sound of repentance rising not from fear, but from love. God, I see it now more clearly than I ever have, in the silence, when everything slows and distractions fall away. I can no longer hide from the things I have buried, the sharp words I justified, the bitterness I disguised as strength, the pride I wore like armor, the corners of my heart I pretended did not need attention. I see the places where I have made compromises, the small ones that grew roots, the quiet ones that dulled my spirit. I see the things I allowed because they were easier than honesty. But I am not here to explain them away. I am not here to defend or excuse. I am here to confess. I am here to bring these things into the light, not so I can carry them longer, but so I can finally let them go. I do not want to keep holding on to what you already died to set me free from. I do not want to live halfway awake, halfway healed. I want to live clean. I want to live whole. So I open my heart and let it speak without filters. I admit the ways I have wandered. I admit the words I regret, the motives that were selfish, the thoughts I let linger when I should have let them go. I admit the moments I pretended not to hear you because I did not want to obey. I admit the times I cared more about being right than being kind, the times I clung to control because I did not fully trust you. Lord, I do not come to you with rehearsed apologies. I come with the raw H of someone who knows what it means to fall short. And yet I also come with the quiet hope that you do not turn away the heart that returns. You do not reject the ones who come honestly, no matter how late, no matter how messy. You are not waiting for perfection. You are looking for surrender. So I bring my heart to you, not polished, not composed, just real. I bring the parts I have tried to fix on my own and the ones I have tried to ignore. I bring the fear that I have hidden under productivity. I bring the resentment I have let simmer too long. I bring the things I thought I had moved past, but that still surface when I am tired or hurt or insecure. And I lay them all down at your feet. Create in me a clean heart, God, not a perfect one, not a performance, just clean. Wash away what no longer reflects you. Strip away what has dulled my compassion, what has hardened my forgiveness, what has distracted me from truth. I do not just want a moment of relief. I want a life that reflects what I have received. I want a transformation that begins in the hidden places and shapes how I live in the visible ones. Help me to truly turn, not just feel remorse, but choose a new direction. Let my repentance not be temporary, not driven by emotion or guilt, but by the realization that I want to live in alignment with you. I want to walk in the light, even when it exposes what I would rather keep hidden. I want to live close to you, even if it means letting go of things that once made me feel safe. God, you do not shame me. You welcome me. You do not punish my honesty. You heal it. And that is what gives me the courage to come closer still. I do not have to pretend. I do not have to prove. I only have to yield. And as I do, I feel the weight begin to lift, not all at once, but enough to breathe again, enough to believe that new beginnings are not reserved for the blameless. They are for the brave, for those willing to start again with you. Teach me how to walk in humility without slipping into shame. Teach me how to acknowledge wrong without losing sight of grace. Let me carry repentance not as a burden, but as a compass that keeps leading me back to where love is stronger than failure. Let it be the lens through which I see others, too never as worse than me, never as beyond mercy, but as fellow travelers in need of the same grace that saved me. I know now that repentance is not weakness. It is the strength to stop pretending. It is the strength to look at myself honestly and still choose to come to you. It is not an act of self-condemnation. It is an act of trust that your love really is greater than my sin, that your cross really did make a way for me to be free, that I do not have to stay stuck in cycles when your Spirit offers renewal. So I return not to shame, not to fear, but to grace. And I ask you to search me, not because you do not already know, but because I want to know what is still in the way. I want to be whole, not just forgiven. I want to be changed, not just relieved. And I know you are the only one who can do that deep work in me. Let this moment be more than emotion. Let it be the beginning of a turning that keeps turning, a softening that keeps soft, a cleansing that goes beyond the surface. Let it be the kind of repentance that transforms my heart and renews my mind, the kind that leads to peace that does not leave, the kind that frees me to forgive others as deeply as I have been forgiven. Thank you, Lord, for being kind enough to convict me and gentle enough to restore me, for never using my failures as reasons to push me away, but as opportunities to draw me closer. I know you are not shocked by my brokenness. You are ready to meet me in it, and that is why I come not hiding, not hesitating, but ready. Because I know what I find when I return to you is not rejection. It is redemption, His mercy that rewrites the story. It is love that sees what I was and still calls me by who I am becoming. So I let go of the guilt. I let go of the excuses. I let go of the need to fix myself. And I let you do what only you can. Heal. Restore. Transform, from the inside out, from this moment forward. Father, after releasing the weight of everything I tried to carry alone, after laying down my failures and naming the parts of me that needed healing, I feel something I did not expect to feel so soon. It is not shame lingering in the silence. It is not fear creeping back into the open space. It is something softer, something lighter. It is grace, not just the idea of it, but the felt presence of it. like arms wrapping around my soul and holding me still when I do not know what to do next. I expected distance. I expected to feel like I had to earn my way back to peace. I expected the sting of memory to remain for a while, as if healing had to take its time. But what I find instead is you, not standing with arms crossed, waiting for me to prove that I have changed, but running toward me while I am still catching my breath, running while I am still a little unsure, a little messy, a little stunned that you really want me back this easily. And yet here you are welcoming me not as a servant, but as a child, embracing me before I can explain myself, covering me with mercy before I can finish my apology. It is too much for my mind to grasp sometimes. This kind of love that does not flinch at my past, that does not hesitate when I come close. I have spent years thinking love had to be earned. But you have been showing me, slowly and gently, that real love cannot be earned, it can only be received. God, your grace does not wait for me to feel worthy. It does not ask me to match its goodness. It simply meets me. It fills in the cracks I tried to hide. It seeps into the places where I still feel unsteady. It covers what I cannot undo. It surrounds me so completely that for a moment I forget how heavy the burden once was. I forget the fear that kept me distant. I forget the striving that never brought peace. I just breathe. I just rest. And in that rest, something begins to heal not just on the surface, but deep beneath it. I realize that grace is not a permission slip to return to the old patterns. It is the power to begin again with a heart that is free, a heart no longer defined by failure, no longer chained to guilt. You are not just forgiving me, you are restoring me. You are reminding me of who I have always been in your eyes, chosen, beloved, held. Lord, I confess that sometimes I hesitate to receive this grace fully. It feels too generous, too unconditional. I feel the urge to balance the scales, to make myself pay for the things I regret. But you gently lift my chin and remind me that the debt has already been paid. You remind me that grace does not deny justice, it fulfills it through the cross. And because of that, I am free, truly free. Teach me how to live from this grace, not just visit it. Let it reshape how I think, how I speak, how I walk through the world. Let it sink so deep into my identity that shame loses its voice entirely. Let it change how I see others, too, not through the lens of what they deserve, but through the lens of what I have received. If grace was never about what I earned, then I can no longer measure anyone else by that standard either. You have welcomed me with no hesitation, so let me extend that same welcome to those around me. Let me be someone who carries this grace into every room, every conversation, every hard moment. Let me speak with the compassion that comes from knowing I have been forgiven much. Let me love with the patience that flows from a heart that knows what it is like to be gently led back home. Father, thank you for not giving me what I expected. Thank you for replacing the voice of accusation with a voice of affection. Thank you for meeting me in my mess, not to shame me, but to clothe me with honor. For every time I braced for rejection and found acceptance instead. Thank you. For every moment I assumed silence meant absence. and discovered you had been near all along. Thank you. Grace is not a one-time gift. It is the rhythm of walking with you. It is the oxygen for my soul, the light for my next step, the safe place where I no longer have to hide. It is not fragile. It is not fleeting. It is not reserved for my best days. It meets me in my worst and transforms them into holy ground. I do not want to be someone who only talks about grace. I want to live shaped by it, moved by it, humbled by it. I want to be someone who wakes up each day with the boldness to believe that mercy really is new this morning, that nothing in my past can outrun what you have done. Let grace be more than a concept in my prayers. Let it be the way I live. When I doubt, let grace speak louder than fear. When I fall, let grace catch me before I spiral. When I succeed, let grace remind me to stay grounded. When I am afraid of starting again, let grace point me back to the truth that I am not starting from empty. I am starting from beloved. You do not tire of welcoming me back, and I do not want to grow tired of receiving what you so freely give. Let me never become numb to this miracle. Let me never treat grace as common. Let it always undo me. Let it always move me. Let it always lead me closer to the one who made a way when there was none. This love it is not weak. It is not soft in the way the world defines it. It is fierce in its persistence. It is relentless in its reach. It is beautiful in the way it makes even broken things whole again. And today, I stand inside that beauty, not trying to earn it, not trying to explain it, just receiving it with open hands and a grateful heart. You ran to me, Father, while I was still far off, while I was still unsure, while I was still trying to find the words. You saw me, and you moved toward me, not to remind me of my wrongs, but to clothe me with the dignity of your love. That is the kind of grace I never want to forget. That is the kind of grace that makes all things new. So I rest in your embrace not as a guest, but as a child come home, not as someone barely accepted, but as someone deeply desired. And in that embrace, I find everything I need to begin again. Father, as I sit in the quiet comfort of your grace, held by love I did nothing to deserve, I find myself breathing easier, softer. The rush that once pushed me forward no longer feels necessary. And yet, in this pause, something honest stirs. Even in the safety of your arms, I still carry questions. Not questions that doubt who you are, but questions that wonder when things will change. When will the answers come? When will the breakthrough arrive? God, you know how much I long for clarity, how much I reach for resolution, especially when life feels uncertain and fragile. I want to move forward. I want to see progress. I want the waiting to end. But instead, you have invited me to trust you right here in the delay in the middle, where nothing is settled and every day feels like a quiet test of belief. You know how hard this part is for me. You know how easily I slip into frustration when things do not move according to my timeline. You know how often I have mistaken silence for distance and waiting for being forgotten. But today, I choose to believe differently. I choose to see delay not as punishment, but as preparation. I choose to believe that just because I do not see movement does not mean you are not working. Lord, remind me again that trust is not built in moments of certainty, but in seasons of waiting. That faith is not proven when everything feels good, but when nothing makes sense, and yet I still say, I believe you. Help me to rest in the truth that you are never late, even when everything in me is begging for now. Teach me to trust you in the not yet, in the still unfolding, in the pages of the story that are being written even as I sit here and wonder. You are not wasting time. You are shaping me, even in the pause. You are steadying my heart, grounding my hope, deepening my roots. Because what I need most is not a quick solution, but a faith that can hold steady through anything. Father, I know that the waiting is not empty. You are doing something in me, even if I can name it yet. Maybe you are teaching me to let go of control. Maybe you are showing me how to cling to peace instead of plans. Maybe you are building a kind of trust that cannot be shaken by the next storm. Whatever it is, I want to receive it fully. I do not want to just get through this season. I want to grow through it. I admit that sometimes I want comfort more than character. I want speed more than surrender. But you are far more concerned with who I am becoming than how quickly I arrive. So if waiting is where you want me, then help me wait well. Help me wait with worship instead of worry, with peace instead of panic, with hope instead of haste. Let me not miss what you are trying to teach me by racing ahead. Let me not despise small beginnings or silent seasons. You are present here just as much as you will be in the answer. And if you have chosen to delay, then I can trust that delay is doing something good in me, something I will understand more fully in time. God, remind me that faith is not about getting what I want when I want it. Faith is about staying close when there is no sign, no clarity, no evidence other than your past faithfulness. And you have been faithful, again and again. I can look back and see it in every season that once felt like silence. I see it now in ways I could not see then. So I will hold on to that memory while I wait for what is ahead. You are not withholding to be cruel. You are guiding with wisdom that sees further than I can. You know what I am ready for. You know what would overwhelm me if it came too soon. And because you love me, you are not rushing the process. You are patient, even when I am not. And you call me to that same patience, not as resignation, but as trust. I do not want to live with clenched fists anymore. I want to live open to your timing, open to your leading, open to the possibility that what I think I need right now not be the very best thing you have in store. I surrender my urgency. I surrender my calendar. I surrender the pressure to make something happen on my own. Father, let waiting be holy. Let it become a place where I worship with no agenda, where I praise without conditions, where I learn to love you simply for who you are, and not just for what I hope you will do. Let it be the ground where deeper trust is planted, trust that grows regardless of what does or does not come. I know that some of my prayers have not been answered the way I hoped. Some doors have remained closed. Some dreams have been deferred. But I trust that you are not finished. I trust that what feels like an unanswered prayer may one day be seen as a greater protection, a hidden mercy, a necessary pause. So I choose to believe that you are not withholding good from me. You are saving the right things for the right time. You are cultivating patience. And patience is not punishment, it is partnership. It is learning to walk at your pace, not mine. It is letting go of fear that I will miss something and holding on to the truth that nothing you have for me will ever pass me by. God, even when nothing seems to move, I will trust that you are moving beneath the surface, even when my eyes see no change. I will believe that the soil of this season is not barren, it is becoming something. And when the time is right, fruit will come, not by force, but by faith. Thank you for being patient with my impatience, for not rushing to quiet my questions, but sitting with me in them, for not condemning my doubt, but gently redirecting me to trust, for reminding me that my waiting is not wasted. It is seen, it is sacred, and it is shaping something beautiful. So I will stay rooted here, not stuck, not stagnant, but anchored in the character of a God who sees what I do not, who holds what I cannot, who gives when the time is right. I will stay, not because it is easy, but because you are trustworthy. I will wait, not because I have no other choice, but because I have chosen you, and that choice changes everything. It turns waiting into worship. It turns delay into development. It turns uncertainty into holy ground. I trust you, Lord. I trust you now. I will trust you still. Father, as I continue learning to trust you in the waiting, something unexpected begins to unfold inside me, a deep quiet that I did not know I needed. Not the silence of absence or confusion, but the kind of quiet that settles gently over my spirit, like morning dew. It is not just the absence of noise. It is the presence of peace. And in that peace, I feel you guiding me into something even deeper than patience. You are leading me into stillness. God, I confess that stillness is not easy for me. I am used to motion, to schedules, to solving problems and proving worth. Even my rest can be restless, my body still while my thoughts race. But you are not asking me to pause just physically. You are asking me to let go internally, to stop grasping, to stop rehearsing what I can't control, to stop trying to calculate my way through every unknown. You are making space in me not for more effort, but for more presence, yours and mine, meeting in the quiet. And as I breathe here, without striving, without planning, I sense that something sacred is happening beneath the surface. Stillness is not inactivity. It is intimacy. It is trust in its purest form. You are not rushing me, and I do not have to rush myself. You are not measuring my progress by how much I produce or fix. You are simply inviting me to lie down, to rest, to receive, to be in a world that praises hustle. You prepare a place of stillness and call it holy. You lead me beside quiet waters, not just to calm me, but to restore me. And restoration does not happen in chaos. It happens in the slow, quiet rhythm of being known and loved without condition. Lord, I want to learn the rhythm of rest not as a reward, but as a way of living. I want to carry stillness with me, not just experience it in rare moments of pause. I want to be someone whose peace does not depend on circumstances, someone whose calm is not tied to control. I want the stillness you give to become my center, my anchor, my response to whatever comes. Let this stillness do what noise never could. Let it make room for you to speak in the depths, not just the surface. Let it heal what was bruised by business. Let it rebuild what was broken by constant pressure. Let it water the parts of me that grew dry from always being on the move. You are not just calling me to rest from work. You are calling me to rest from worry, from fear, from the inner striving to prove myself or keep things from falling apart. In this garden of stillness, I begin to remember who I am before the expectations, before the pressure, before the performance. I am yours. That is it. That is enough. No title, no task, just a child loved by her father, invited to sit in the shade and breathe again. You are not disappointed in my need to rest. You are not surprised by my weariness. You saw it before I did. You knew I would reach this point where I could not keep running on empty, where I would need more than a quick fix. You have been gently leading me here, not with guilt, but with grace. And now that I am here, I do not want to rush out of it. Help me stay. Help me resist the pull to get back to doing. Help me see the beauty in being. Let this stillness teach me that peace is not something I chase. It is something I receive when I trust that you are enough. Let me see this stillness not as a break from real life, but as the place where real life begins. Let it shape how I speak, how I make decisions, how I interact with the world. Let it ground me so deeply that even when the noise returns, it cannot shake me from the rest I have found in you. God, stillness with you is not empty space. It is sacred space. It is where I am reminded that I am not the solution, not the source, not the savior. It is where I remember that you are, and you always have been. And in that remembering, anxiety loosens its grip, control loses its shine, pride fades into peace. I do not have to have all the answers. I do not have to carry all the weight. I only have to trust that you are here, and that you are enough. You provide what I cannot find anywhere else, not just solutions, but presence. Not just peace for the moment, but peace that stays. Teach me to come back to this garden often, even in the middle of the day, even when the world around me does not slow down. Let me find you again and again in the stillness of my own spirit, where your voice is clear and your love is constant. Let me live from this place, not just return to it when I am desperate. Let it become the soil where faith grows, where joy takes root, where hope flourishes. In the stillness, you show me that nothing needs to be added to this moment to make it holy. It already is, because you are here, because I am here, because there is finally room to breathe, to rest, to simply exist without fear. And somehow, in this sacred stillness, I realize that you have been waiting for me, not just to talk, not just to ask, but to simply sit, to let my soul exhale, to let my heart be heard without speaking. You are not impatient. You are not watching the clock. You are here, fully present, fully invested, fully at peace. So I let the noise fall away. I let the tension release. I let the need to perform melt into the quiet knowledge that I am already loved. I am already accepted. I am already safe. This stillness is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is the quiet sound of being known, of being loved, of being held by a God who does not rush. And in this garden, I am no longer striving. I am no longer chasing. I am simply here, and so are you. Father, after learning how to rest in stillness with you, how to let the noise fade and find peace in your presence, something within me begins to shift, not in emotion, not in inspiration, but in resolve. The kind of quiet clarity that rises after the rush has settled. The kind of inner voice that whispers not just comfort, but direction. Because now that I have made space for you and listened in stillness, I can no longer pretend not to hear what you are gently asking of me. God, you are not just speaking peace over me. You are calling me forward, and I feel the nudge. Unmistakable and loving, you are asking me to move, to act, to respond, not out of fear, not to earn anything, but as an outflow of the love you have poured into me. Obedience, in this light, no longer feels like a burden. It feels like the next step in a holy relationship. Lord, I have spent much of my life waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until I felt stronger, wiser, more confident. But I am starting to see that obedience does not begin with certainty. It begins with trust, and trust grows when I follow your voice, even when the path ahead is not lit all the way. I do not need to know the whole story. I just need to say yes to the next sentence you are writing. Give me courage, Father, not the kind that shouts or shows off, but the kind that quietly says, I will follow you, even if I tremble as I go. Let my obedience be steady, not flashy. Let it grow from a place of deep love, not shallow duty. Because what I have discovered in stillness is this: I cannot say I love you and then continually ignore your leading. You are not asking me to do something grand or dramatic. You are asking me to take the small, faithful step in front of me. The phone call I have been avoiding, the apology I know I owe, the generosity that stretches my comfort, the boundaries I need to honor, the truth I need to finally speak. It is all sacred when done in response to you. Help me see obedience not as pressure, but as privilege, not as a test, but as an invitation to walk more closely with you. I do not want to keep hesitating at the edge of transformation. I want to step into it, not because I feel brave every moment, because I trust you more than I trust my fear. Lord, I know what it is like to hear your voice and delay. I know what it feels like to sense what you are calling me to do and still hold back, telling myself the timing is not right or the cost is too high. But nothing has ever been more costly than staying stuck. Nothing has ever drained me more than the weight of unacted conviction. I want to live light. I want to live free. And that only comes from living in step with you. So today, I choose to stop rehearsing the reasons why not, and start walking in the direction of yes. I bring you my excuses, my insecurities, my what-ifs, and I place them in your hands. They have been louder than truth for too long. Let your word become louder still. Let it rise in me like a compass, pointing me again and again toward simple faithfulness. I know obedience is not always easy. It does not guarantee applause. It does not always feel rewarding right away. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it looks like surrender. Sometimes it means letting go of something I wanted. But every time I say yes to you, something deep within me grows stronger. My spirit stretches. My trust roots deeper. My identity becomes more secure. God, remind me that delayed obedience is still disobedience. That you are not impressed by my spiritual vocabulary if my life is not marked by surrender. I do not want to just sing about your will. I want to walk in it. I want my yes to echo into every part of who I am, into how I speak, how I lead, how I forgive, how I spend my time. Let obedience be the fruit of intimacy. Let it not come from striving or fear, but from the joy of knowing I am loved and safe in your will. If you ask me to move, I will move. If you ask me to stay, I will stay. If you ask me to wait, I will wait with purpose. Because I know you are for me. I know you are with me. I know you are good. Father, I do not want to measure obedience by outcomes. I do not want to obey just to see things work out in my favor. I want to obey because you are worthy, because you asked, because trust is enough reason. Let the outcome be yours. Let my part be faithfulness. And even when I fail, even when I hesitate or forget, help me return quickly. Let my repentance lead me back to alignment. Let me grow softer, not harder. Let me quick to adjust when you redirect me. Obedience is not about perfection. It is about responsiveness. It is about keeping my heart tender enough to follow. God, thank you for not giving up on me when I have resisted your leading. Thank you for being patient when I have delayed, for speaking again when I have tuned you out, for calling me forward when I wanted to hide. You are not forcing me. You are inviting me into something better than I could create on my own. Obedience is not a rule. It is a rhythm, a way of living that keeps me connected to the flow of your spirit. I do not want to walk ahead of you or behind you. I want to walk with you, one step at a time, one yes at a time, one act of trust after another, until trust becomes who I am. So if today you whisper go, I will go. If you say forgive, I will forgive. If you lead me towards someone who needs kindness, I will show up. If you ask me to release what I have held too tightly, I will let it fall from my hands, because nothing matters more than being close to you. Lord, let obedience shape me more than ambition. Let it be the quiet flame that keeps burning even when no one else sees it. Let it be the steady beat of my heart in step with yours. Let it be what I am known for, not loud declarations, but a life that consistently says yes. This is the life I want, not the easy one, not the impressive one, but the faithful one, the surrendered one, the one that follows where you lead even when it is uncomfortable. Even when it is uncertain, even when it costs more than I planned, because when I obey, I meet you in the middle of it, and that is where I want to be always, not just where it is safe, not just where it is easy, but where you are, and that is more than enough. Father, even as I whisper yes to obedience, even as I move forward in trust, I cannot ignore what quietly stirs beneath my confidence, an undercurrent of fragility I wish I could deny but cannot. My faith, though sincere, does not always feel strong. It wavers. It questions. It trembles in the face of uncertainty, and I used to think this made me weak or somehow less faithful. But now, I bring it to you without shame, because if I cannot be honest with you, I am only building walls around my own heart. God, you never asked me to have perfect faith. You never demanded that I believe without struggle or walk without fear. You only asked that I come, and here I am still showing up, still seeking, even when belief feels more like a whisper than a roar. I do believe, but some days, my belief comes with questions I can't quite silence. I wonder, sometimes, if you are still writing the story when all I see are blank pages. I wonder if you hear me when my prayers feel like echoes fading into the night. I wonder if what I am doing really matters when nothing seems to change. I do not bring these thoughts to accuse. I bring them because I want to walk with you in truth, not just in pretense. Lord, meet me in this fragile space, not with answers that tie everything in a neat bow, but with presence, with the quiet assurance that you are still near, even when my feelings do not confirm it. Let me find you in the tension between hope and doubt, in the stretch between the promise and its fulfillment. I used to think strong faith meant never struggling. Now I see it differently. Now I know that real faith is what remains when all the feelings fade, when the certainty slips through my fingers, but I still choose to trust you. Real faith is not the absence of doubt. It is what survives in the middle of it. So I offer you what I have, not a mountain of assurance, but a mustard seed of trust, not the fire of unwavering certainty, but the flicker of belief that refuses to be extinguished. And I trust that it is enough, not because I am enough, but because you are. Father, help me not to judge my faith by its volume or emotional high. Let me measure it instead by its persistence, by its willingness to remain when things get quiet, by its quiet return after each stumble, by the way it keeps choosing you, even when nothing makes sense. Let me remember the stories of those who came before me, those who wrestled, who questioned, who waited in darkness and yet were counted as faithful. Remind me that even the man who cried, "Help my unbelief," saw his prayer answered. You are not threatened by my questions. You do not pull away when I struggle. You stay, you lean in, you listen. God, I do not need every question resolved to keep walking with you. I just need to know that you won't leave me while I am figuring things out. And you have proven that again and again. When I look back, I see the seasons where I thought my faith had failed, but somehow I was still standing, still praying, still hoping, even in small ways. And that is grace. That is faith at work in me, even when I could not see it. Let me be honest about where I am, so you can meet there. Not where I think I should be, not where I pretend to be, but exactly here on uncertain ground, yet still reaching upward. You are not asking me to climb a ladder to you. You are coming down to walk with me where I am. Lord, let my fragile faith be like a candle you protect with your hands. Shield it from the winds of discouragement. Keep it burning, even when the world around me feels cold. Fan it gently when it flickers, and when I am too tired to hold it up. Remind me that you are the one sustaining the flame. I have seen enough of you to know that doubt does not disqualify me. It does not erase what you have already done in me. It simply brings me back to the place of dependence, to the place where I stop trying to hold it all together and start leaning fully on you again. Help me talk to you even about the doubts. Help me bring them out of the shadows, because when I hide them, they grow. But when I name them in your presence, they begin to lose their power. They begin to unravel, not because I force them to go, but because light always drives out the dark. Father, when I feel too weak to believe for myself, surround me with reminders of your truth. Let someone's story lift mine. Let a verse come alive at just the right moment. Let nature itself speak of your consistency, the sunrise that does not miss its cue, the seasons that always circle back to new beginnings. Let me be patient with myself in the journey of belief. Let me trust that faith is not a destination I reach once and for all, but a path I walk daily, sometimes confidently, sometimes limping, but always toward you, God. I believe, I really do, even in the trembling, even in the waiting, even in the silence. Help my unbelief not by condemning it, but by walking with me through it. Use it to deepen my trust, to strip away the things I have depended on that are not you, to grow something in me that is more resilient than certainty, a faith rooted not in what I understand, but in who I know you to be. You are not fragile, even when I am. You are not shaken, even when I shake. You are not surprised by my weakness, and that is why I can rest in you. That is why I can take one more step. That is why I can keep saying yes. So I will keep going, not because I never struggle, but because I have decided that no matter what, I will stay near to you. And even when my faith feels fragile, you are not. You are the solid place I stand. You are the faithful one who never wavers. You are the God who holds me steady when I can no longer hold myself. Father, even as I sit with this fragile faith, as I acknowledge the trembling within me, something begins to stir, a whisper of strength that does not come from forcing belief, but from remembering. Not the kind of remembering that is casual or passing, but the kind that stops time for a moment and lets the weight of past faithfulness settle on my soul. Because when I look back, I see you again and again. Lord, you have never left me without a trace of your goodness. Even in the seasons that felt like wilderness, even in the storms that shook everything I thought was stable, your hand was still writing a story my heart did not always recognize in real time. But now, with the benefit of hindsight, I see it. I see how you carried me when I had no strength. I see how you rescued me from paths that would have broken me. I see how you spoke gently to me when I was full of fear. God, help me remember well, not just the moments of victory, but the moments of rescue, the nights when peace came unexpectedly, the mornings when I had no plan but somehow found my footing, the conversations that arrived at just the right time, the burdens that lifted, not all at once, but slowly enough to remind me that healing is possible. You have been so faithful, and I do not want to forget. I do not want to walk into today's struggles as if yesterday's miracles did not happen. I do not want to let fear write over what grace has already proven. Let my memory become a weapon against discouragement. Let it be a shelter when doubt starts to reign again. You told your people again and again to remember not, because they were forgetful in the mind, but because the heart forgets when it is tired, and mine has been tired. My faith has bent under pressure. But now I know why you called your people to build altars, to write it down, to pass it along, because what we remember can rescue us when we forget who we are and who you have always been. Lord, help me build those altars in my own life, not made of stone or wood, but made of quiet moments like this one, when I stop and choose to see you again. Not only in what I hope for, but in what you have already done. Let me write it in my prayers. Let me speak it in my silence. Let me carry it in my bones. When the enemy tries to plant seeds of fear or whisper lies that have been abandoned, help me remember the truth. You were there when I was at my lowest. You were there when I nearly gave up. You were there when I did not even have the strength to call out. And you are still here now, not just in theory, but in the deepest layers of my life. Help me not only to remember, but to celebrate those memories. Let them become more than stories. Let them become anchors. Let them shape how I face today. When the road is long, remind me of the strength you gave me in the past to take the next step. When I am afraid of what is ahead, remind me of how you provided what I never saw coming. You have been the God who answers prayers I was too scared to pray out loud. You have been the God who surprises me in moments when I least expect it. You have been the God who draws near not only when I seek you, but sometimes even before I know how to. So why should I doubt now? Why should I believe that somehow this time will be different? That this situation will be beyond your reach? When I remember rightly, fear starts to lose its grip. When I reflect on what you have done, my faith grows not because I suddenly become stronger, but because I am reminded that I never needed to be the strong one. Father, I ask that you keep these memories alive. Don't let them fade under pressure. Don't let them gather dust in the back of my mind. Stir them up when I am weary. Let them rise to the surface when I feel small. Let them remind me that you are not just a God of history, but a God of continuity. The same one who showed up then is the same one who walks with me now. Let my memory not be selective, only recalling the things that hurt. Let me remember the healing too. The restoration, the moments of quiet joy that came like soft rain on dry ground. The laughter that broke through sorrow like sunlight through clouds. The unexpected friendships, the second chances, the strength to keep going. When my hands are tired of holding on, let my memory be what steadies me. When I am tempted to believe I am alone, let my testimony speak louder than my emotions. You have been too consistent to doubt. You have been too good to forget. And even when my circumstances shift, you do not. God, I want to be someone who remembers on purpose, who revisits the archives of grace like sacred history, who recites the stories that shape my faith, who marks each answered prayer not as coincidence, but as covenant. And when others are struggling, when their faith feels fragile, let me be the one who reminds them too. Let me share what you have done in me, not to boast, but to lift someone else. Let my memory feed someone else's hope. Let my story spark new belief in someone who feels like theirs is falling apart. You have built a legacy in me, already a story of redemption and provision, of mercy and rescue. And it is not finished yet, but even as it continues, can trace your fingerprints on every chapter so far. And that gives me strength to trust you with the unwritten pages. So I choose to remember not just what happened, but who you were in it. I choose to carry memory like a shield. I choose to walk forward with eyes that have seen too much of you to go back. I may not know what comes next, but I know what came before, and that is enough to believe again today. Father, as I remember all that you have done, as I revisit the stories of your faithfulness, something deeper than gratitude begins to awaken. It starts softly, like light touching the edge of morning, and then expands warm, quiet, undeniable. It is joy, not loud, not forced, just a rising gladness that flows not from what has happened, but from who you are, God. How easily I forget that joy is not tied to outcomes. It does not wait for the answer to arrive or the breakthrough to appear. It lives in the truth that you are here, right now, with me, and that is enough. Not just enough to calm me or carry me, but enough to lift me, to revive what heaviness had weighed down. For so long, I thought joy was a result, something that came at the end of pain, after the miracle, after the healing. But now I understand. Joy is a companion, not just a reward. Joy travels with me. It walks beside faith. It holds hands with trust. It rises when I remember your nearness, even if everything around me remains uncertain. Lord, you never promised a life without struggle, but you promised to never leave me in it. And in that promise, joy takes root, even in sorrow, even in waiting, even in the in-between. Because if you are with me, then I am never without hope. If you are close, then I am never truly lost. There have been days where I have let joy grow quiet, days when stress shouted louder, when fear blocked the sunlight, when disappointment dulled my senses. But even in those moments, joy never fully left. It lingered, hidden beneath the noise, waiting to rise again, waiting for me to remember that it is not based on how I feel, but on the truth that you are constant. God, thank you for being the kind of Father who delights in me. Not because I always get it right, not because I am always strong, but because I am yours. Your joy is not conditional. It is not a mood that changes with my performance. It is an ever-present current of love that runs beneath every circumstance. Let me live in that joy, not just visit it when life is light, but dwell in it, return to it, build my days upon it. Let it become my default posture, not forced happiness, but a quiet confidence that no matter what happens, I am held by joy that comes from you. When I rise in the morning, remind me that joy is available before my feet even touch the floor. When I face difficulties, Remind me that joy can exist in the middle of challenge, not just on the other side of it, when I feel small or unseen. Remind me that your joy over me is not diminished by my doubt. You are not only a God who rescues, you are a God who rejoices. You sing over me. You smile when I draw near. You do not sit distant and stern. You lean close. You lift my head. You remind me that this relationship is not a burden. It is a source of joy for both of us. Father, let me rediscover the wonder of being with you, not just talking about you. Not just doing things for you, but enjoying you. Let laughter return to my spirit, not in denial of reality, but as a celebration of grace that holds me in it. Let my soul be light again, not because the world is perfect, but because your love is. Teach me how to carry joy through ordinary days. Let it be in the way I notice beauty, in the way I breathe deeper, in the way I smile at a stranger. Let it fill the gaps where anxiety once lived. Let it become the melody of my movements, the rhythm of my thoughts, the lens through which I see everything. God, I do not want to wait for perfect conditions to feel joy. I want to live in the knowledge that you are here, and that is more than enough. I want to sing, not because I am unaware of the brokenness around me, but because I know that you are redeeming even what I can see. There is something holy about joy. It is not shallow. It is not naive. It is courageous. It declares, even in sorrow, that light still wins. It holds space for both tears and laughter, for both grief and grace. And I want to live in that kind of joy, the kind that does not deny pain, but refuses to be defined by it. Let your joy become my strength, not the kind that overpowers, but the kind that steadies, the kind that carries me through long days and long nights, the kind that reminds me who I belong to, and whose presence surrounds me like a quiet, radiant light. I remember now what I forgot, that joy is a fruit of your spirit. I do not have to manufacture it. I do not have to earn it. I only need to remain with you, and it will grow. Sometimes gently, sometimes unexpectedly, but always faithfully. Lord, thank you for restoring joy to places I thought had gone numb. Thank you for lifting the weight off my shoulders, not by changing every situation, but by changing the atmosphere within me. Let my heart become familiar with joy again. Let it not be a rare guest, but a daily companion. Even in this moment, I feel it rising, not loud, not dramatic, but true. A soft joy that steadies my breathing, a warmth that replaces worry, a quiet gladness that whispers, "You are not alone, and you never were." So I will carry joy into today, into conversations, into silence, into challenges, into rest. I will let it show on my face, not because everything is easy, but because I am deeply loved. I will let it reshape my pace. I will let it color my choices. I will let it remind me, again and again, that the presence of God is not just a shelter, it is a source of joy that never runs dry. Father, as joy rises quietly and steadily from the confidence of your nearness, I feel something else beginning to awaken, an unfamiliar lightness, not just in my heart, but in how I see myself and the world around me. I am not weighed down the way I used to be. The old burdens I wore like identity no longer fit. The old chains, subtle and disguised as responsibility or perfectionism, no longer hold the same power. You are teaching me how to live free, not just theologically, but practically. Lord, freedom has always felt like a distant idea. I have sung about it. I have read about it. I have even prayed for it. But until now, I am not sure I ever really knew what it meant to live from it. I knew how to survive. I knew how to manage. But freedom, that felt too light, too undeserved. I did not know I was allowed to walk in it daily. I thought it was something for those who never struggled, never stumbled. But now I see it differently. Freedom is not a destination for the perfect. It is the daily invitation for the surrendered. You have called me out of bondage, not just the obvious ones, but the subtle ones too. The invisible prisons of shame, the self-made cages of comparison, the bars built from fear, from wounds, from old agreements I made about who I was and what I deserved. But you have shattered every one of them, not with force, but with grace, not with noise, but with truth. God, you have never chained me to my past. I did that to myself. I replayed my regrets. I rehearsed my failures. I let voices other than yours define my worth. But today, I step away from all of that. I do not deny where I have been. I just refuse to let it decide where I am going. You have set me free, not in theory, but in reality. And I choose to believe that freedom is not too good to be true. Help me walk in it not just as an idea, but as a lifestyle. Let my steps reflect that I am no longer a slave to fear, to approval, to guilt, to cycles that used to rule me. Let my thoughts be shaped by truth, not triggered by old lies. Let my actions come from confidence in who I am in you, not from striving to become something more. You said I am free, not because I earned it, not because I fought my way to it, but because you paid for it. You carried what I could not. You broke what I could not break. And now, you are calling me to live like that. Victory matters, not in arrogance, but in peace. Father, I admit that sometimes freedom feels unfamiliar. It is easier, strangely, to return to what I have always known, even if it hurt. Slavery to performance, to old labels, to familiar pain. But you are teaching me that I am not bound anymore. I do not have to explain my joy. I do not have to apologize for walking in light. I am free to be whole, free to be healed, free to be loved without needing to earn it. Let freedom touch every area of my life. My decisions, my boundaries, my relationships. Let it change how I speak, how I think, how I dream. Let it set the pace of my life, not rushed, not reactive, but led by truth. Let it fill the empty spaces I used to fill with anxiety and prove that peace is possible. Even here, even now, I do not want to keep waiting for some future moment to believe I am allowed to live free. I want to start now. I want to look at each day as an open field instead of a battleground. I want to laugh without suspicion, to rest without guilt, to love without fear of being rejected. Because this is what you died to give me, not just eternal life, but present freedom. God, thank you for being patient while I learned this slowly. Thank you for never using my past as a weapon. Thank you for not holding my old chains against me. Instead, you offered keys. You opened doors. You led me out, not with shame, but with a father's kindness. Let me remember that freedom does not mean perfection. It means I am no longer imprisoned by the things that once controlled me. I can make mistakes and still be loved. I can have limits and still be chosen. I can fall and still rise, because your grace is deeper than every failure. Let me be bold in freedom, not reckless, but rooted. Let me speak up when I used to shrink back. Let me step out when fear says stay small. Let me take risks because I know I am held, not judged. Let me grow because I no longer have to prove anything. I just get to respond to love. Teach me to use my freedom well. To build, not to destroy. To serve, not to elevate myself. To lift others up who are still living under weights that do not belong to them. Let my life reflect that freedom is not selfish, it is generous, it is contagious. It multiplies when it is shared. Father, let others see the change in me and wonder what kind of love could make someone walk this light. Let them sense not pride, but peace. Let them taste not perfection, but the joy of being forgiven. Let my freedom be an open door for someone else, a living testimony that healing is real, that chains can fall, that joy can return. And when I am tempted to go back to fear, back to control, back to earning, I ask that you remind me of the price you paid. Remind me of the cross that broke every stronghold. Remind me of the empty tomb that declared once and for all that death and defeat have no final say. This freedom is not fragile. It is not temporary. It is not dependent on my emotions or on what others say about me. It is rooted in what you have already done, and nothing can undo that. So I will walk like someone who is free. I will speak like someone who is loved. I will show up like someone who is whole. Not because I always feel it, but because it is true. Because you have said it is finished, and I believe you. This is the life you made possible, the life of someone no longer bound. And I choose to live in it, fully, boldly, joyfully, from this moment forward. Father, as I begin to truly walk in the freedom you have given me, I sense your invitation going deeper, not just to live light, but to live wide open, to move from simply receiving grace to becoming a vessel that pours it out. Because what you have done in me is not meant to stay hidden. It is meant to overflow. And now, with each passing day, I feel you gently shaping my life into something more than restored. You are shaping it into a reflection of your heart, God. It is humbling. The idea that you would entrust someone like me, still learning, still growing, still in need of grace, with the privilege of carrying your love into the world. I do not always feel ready. I do not always feel like I have enough to give, but that is the beauty of it. You never ask me to give from what I manufacture. You asked me to give from what I receive. I used to believe I needed to fix everything before I could be used by you, that I needed to have perfect understanding, perfect consistency, perfect strength. But what you have shown me is that it is not my perfection that changes the world. It is your presence flowing through a willing heart, a surrendered heart, a heart that has been touched by loves deeply that it cannot help but give it away. Lord, I do not want to love just when it is easy. I want to love like you do, sacrificially, consistently, without expectation of return. Let your compassion shape my reactions. Let your mercy soften my judgments. Let your patience become my posture. Let every encounter be an opportunity to extend what I have so freely received. Teach me to see people, not just pass by them. Teach me to listen, not just respond. Teach me to pause to make space for the sacred moments tucked into everyday life. Let me carry awareness that each person I meet is someone you created, someone you love, someone worthy of kindness simply because they are yours. God, I know love is not always convenient. It does not fit neatly into schedules or respond perfectly to logic. It costs something: time, comfort, pride. But if freedom means anything, it must mean I am no longer living only for myself, that I am free not just to be whole, but to be poured out, to be someone who lives open, even when it is uncomfortable. Remind me that love is not just grand gestures. It is choosing gentleness when I feel irritated. It is offering grace when I would rather be right. It is speaking life when sarcasm feels easier. It is being the first to forgive, the first to reach out, the first to see value where others overlook it. Let me love in quiet ways, in unseen places behind closed doors. When no one is watching, when there is no applause waiting. Let me love in hard conversations and silent sacrifices. Let me love in truth, not just with words, but with presence, with consistency, with faithfulness. Father, I bring you my limitations, not as an excuse, but as an offering. You know where I struggle. You know how easily I get caught in self-protection. You know the wounds that make it hard to trust. But even still, I say yes. Yes to becoming a vessel. Yes to letting love flow even through the cracks in my story, because sometimes it is the cracks that let the light pour through. Help me forgive more quickly. Help me assume the best more often. Help me build bridges instead of walls. Let my love not be performative, but real. Not loud, but lasting. Not self-serving, but rooted in the overflow of what you have done in me. Lord, let love be the defining mark of my life, not status, not productivity, not the appearance of righteousness. Just love, honest, enduring, transformative love, the kind that sits with people in their pain, the kind that believes the best, the kind that holds space for growth, the kind that reflects you in tone, in patience, in grace. Show me the people right in front of me, the ones I have overlooked, the ones I have avoided, the ones I have misunderstood. Break my heart open for what breaks yours, not in a way that leaves me heavy, but in a way that moves me to respond. Because I do not want to just feel love. I want to act on it, even when I am tired. Let love be the reason I keep showing up, even when I am afraid. Let love be the courage that steadies me. Even when I do not have the right words, let love speak louder than my uncertainty. Let me carry peace into tense places. Let me carry kindness into cold spaces. Let me bring light where things feel heavy, not because I am strong, but because I am filled by you. And you never run out. Father, protect my heart from growing hard, from becoming so focused on self-preservation that I forget my calling. Remind me often that the way of love is not weakness, it is the greatest strength. It is what changes lives. It is what changes mine. When I doubt the impact, when I wonder if it matters, bring me back to the cross, to the ultimate act of love, your love poured out fully, freely, for all. If that kind of love did not fail, then neither will the love you ask me to extend. Let me carry it with humility. Let me carry it with joy. Let me carry it into every conversation, every decision, every corner of my life. Let it be my default, my reflex, my choice when I am unsure. Because if I have truly encountered you, if I have really been changed by grace, then the world around me should feel the ripple. Not because I shouted louder, but because I loved deeper, because I stayed soft in a hard world, because I kept giving when it would have been easier to turn inward. This is the freedom I have received, not just for myself, but for the world around me. And now, I choose to carry it forward. To love, not with my own limited capacity, but with the endless supply that flows from your heart to mine, and from mine to whoever you place before me next. Father, after learning how to love the way you do, to pour out from the grace you have given me, I find myself returning to something so essential, so quiet, yet so powerful, this place with you, where no one sees, where no words have to be polished, where no performance is needed. Because if I am going to keep loving, if I am going to keep giving, if I am going to keep walking with courage and tenderness in a world that often wears us down, then I must learn to return again and again to the secret place. God, you never called me to be strong on my own. You never expected me to carry the weight of love, obedience, faith, and compassion without continually returning to the source. You never asked me to be a well. You asked me to draw from the well that never runs dry. And so here I am, not because I am failing, but because I am learning that I do not thrive without this. Learning that is not just the battles that drain me, but the pace, the noise, the expectations, some from others, many from myself. I bring it all to you now, the weariness that crept in quietly, the joy that began to flicker after a long stretch of giving, the small heaviness I tried to ignore. I bring you the moments when I showed up while running on empty, when I smiled while secretly aching, when I served while silently hoping someone would see me. Lord, This is the place where you see me, not the version I present, but the whole me, the tired me, the unsure me, the longing me, the still growing me. You do not flinch. You do not rush. You just stay. And in this staying, I find my strength returning, not in an instant, not like a flash of power, but like a slow sunrise warming a chilled earth. In the secret place, you remind me that I do not need to impress you, that I was never meant to, that you are not looking for productivity. You are looking for presence, that you are not grading my prayers. You are listening to my heart. You are not just the God of the crowds, the miracles, the mountaintops. You are the God of this quiet space, this room where it is just you and me, where my words sometimes trail off into tears, or silence, or simple stillness. And still, you come. Still, you wait. Still, you meet me. I confess that sometimes I treat this secret place like a duty, something to check off or squeeze in. But now I see that it is not a duty at all. It is my lifeline. It is the source of every good thing that flows from my life. Without this, I lose clarity. Without this, I lose compassion. Without this, I lose connection. So teach me how to abide, not just visit, not just come in crisis, but to dwell here, to return in rhythm, to live out of this place, not just come to it when I am desperate. Teach me that true strength is not the absence of need, but the awareness of where to turn when the need comes. Father, let this space with you be where I remember who I am, where lies fall away, where striving ceases, where shame dissolves. Let it be the soil where identity grows deep, not in titles or roles, but in your voice saying, "You are mine." Let it be the quiet where my soul exhales, where the weight I have carried slips from my shoulders into your hands. Let it be where I am refilled not just emotionally, but spiritually, deeply, unshakably, not by hype, but by the steady, true, transformative presence of a God who knows how to speak to the soul. And when I leave this secret place and step back into noise, help me carry it with me. Help me remember that the stillness did not end when the prayer ended, that the connection did not fade when the moment passed, that this intimacy is not bound by location. You are not a moment. You are a presence, and I can carry you into every moment that follows, into every hallway, every conversation, every crowded space. I can breathe in your presence while washing dishes. I can listen for your whisper while driving to work. I can sit with you in silence, even when others are speaking all around me. Because the secret place is not only where I meet you, it is where you anchor me. It is where you fill what has been poured out. It is where I remember that I am not serving from lack, but from overflow, not creating my own light, but reflecting yours, God. Keep calling me back here when I am tempted to stay busy. Remind me this is where the strength comes from, when I am tempted to push through. Remind me that you do not need me to push you, invite me to pause. You draw me back with kindness, not guilt. with tenderness, not pressure. This is not the place of earning. It is the place of receiving, of becoming, of remembering that I was never made to run this race in my own effort. I was made to walk with you moment by moment, thought by thought, breath by breath. You do not just renew my strength. You renew my hope. You restore my joy. You give me fresh vision, not always for the future, but for this day, this hour, this step. Father, this secret place is where I learn to lead with love and not fear. It is where I get quiet enough to hear what you are really saying. It is where pride fades and humility grows. It is where I trade performance for presence and anxiety for peace. Even when my words are few, let my heart be wide open. Even when all I do is sit and breathe in your nearness, let it be enough. Let it be worship. Let it be communion. Let it be the strength I carry into everything else. This is the place I will return to over and over, not because I am weak, but because I know where strength is found. In you. In stillness. In truth. In the quiet where heaven meets earth and my soul becomes whole again. Father, from the quiet strength of this secret place, I step back into a world that does not always feel peaceful. The calm I find with you is real, but so is the battle beyond it, the one that greets me as soon as I open the door, answer the call, check the messages, hear the headlines. I do not want to pretend that this life is without conflict. You never promised ease. You promised presence. And today, I hold tightly to that promise. God, sometimes I forget that there is a war being waged, not just in the visible things, but deep within. A war for my attention, a war for my identity, a war for my peace. It does not always come with loud attacks. Sometimes it comes in whispers, distractions, subtle lies, exhaustion that weighs more than it should. But even when I do not fully understand what I am fighting, I know that you see it all. You are not surprised by what comes against me. You are not overwhelmed by the battles I face. And you do not ask me to fight alone. You ask me to stand firm, not because I am invincible, but because you are. You ask me to lift my eyes above the noise and fix my heart on truth. Lord, I confess that I grow tired, not just physically, but soul-deep tired when the effort to keep showing up feels heavier than before, when the opposition seems unrelenting, when prayers feel like they vanish into silence. But even in those moments, I remember, it is not my strength that keeps me. It is yours. It is the unseen hand that holds mine. It is the breath you place in my lungs when I think I can take another step. You are my defender, my refuge, my shield. You do not stand far off and observe. You draw near. You enter the battle with me. You remind me that victory is not always about how loud I roar, but about who stands with me in the middle of the storm. I have learned now that strength does not always look like force. Sometimes it looks like quiet faithfulness. Sometimes it is the choice to show up again, to pray again, to forgive again, to believe again even when I feel outmatched. And when fear whispers that I am not enough, that I am losing ground, That I have failed too many times, you whisper louder. You remind me that this is not a battle of willpower. It is a battle of trust. You remind me that the weapons you have given are not carnal, but powerful. That prayer is not weak. That worship is not empty. That truth is not optional. So I pick them up again, these gifts you have placed in my hands. I clothe myself in what you have given, the belt of truth that holds me steady when lies creep in. The breastplate of righteousness that reminds me my value is not earned. The shield of faith that extinguishes doubt. The helmet of salvation that protects my mind. The sword of the Spirit that cuts through confusion. The gospel of peace that grounds my steps. You have given me everything I need, not because I am meant to charge ahead alone, but because I am meant to stand firm in you. And even when I fall, even when I falter, you lift me, you carry me. You are not disappointed by the bruises. You are not ashamed of my fatigue. Father, help me recognize the difference between surrender and defeat. Defeat gives up because it believes there is no hope. Surrender lays everything down because it believes you are the only hope. I choose surrender not as resignation, but as reliance. I choose to let you lead, to let you speak, to let you strengthen what feels weak. In this fight, I do not want to become hard. I do not want to let bitterness build walls. I want to stay soft, even as I stand strong. I want to keep compassion alive, even when cruelty tries to crush it. I want to remain rooted in love, not anger, in grace, not pride, in peace, not panic. Let my battle be fought not just on the outside, but on the inside, against the voices that tell me I am not enough, against the urge to control what is not mine, against the temptation to give in to despair. Let my victory be quiet and steady and full of your fingerprints. Remind me that the outcomes are in your hands, that winning does not always look like the world expects, that sometimes the greatest victory is simply refusing to give up, to turn back, to become someone I am not. When the enemy comes in like a flood, raise up a standard against it. When anxiety tightens its grip, be the breath that loosens it. When darkness tries to cloud my vision, be the light that leads me through. When discouragement settles like a fog, be the clarity that lifts it. You fight for me not because I have proven anything, but because I am yours. You call me beloved, even when I feel battle-worn. You call me chosen, even when I feel overlooked. You call me strong, even when I feel fragile. So today, I will not fight as one abandoned. I will fight as one backed by heaven. I will move forward not in panic, but in peace. I will not let the storm inside me be greater than the one who calms storms. I will be still and know that you are God. I will trust that you are working even when I cannot see it, and when I do not have the words, when the prayers feel tired, when the tears come easier than strength. I will remember that you understand, that you have walked this path before me, that you are not asking for a performance, just a heart that keeps returning. You are the God who teaches my hands to war and my heart to rest. You are the God who strengthens me in hidden places. You are the God who surrounds me with favor as a shield. Let every battle I face be an opportunity to know you more. Let every hardship refine my faith. Let every confrontation lead to deeper compassion. Let every conflict call forth courage I did not know I had. This is not just about enduring. It is about becoming. Becoming stronger. Yes, but more than that. Becoming more like you. More anchored. More loving. More aware of the power that comes not from me, but from the one who is always faithful. Father, after standing in the strength you give through every battle, after learning to rest in the truth that you fight for me, I realize how critical it is to guard the space where those battles often begin my mind. Before conflict ever shows up in action, before doubt ever makes it into my decisions, it starts in my thoughts. And so I come to you now, not just for strength in my hands or peace in my heart, but for renewal in my mind. God, I have underestimated how much my thinking shapes my living. I have let thoughts linger that never came from you. I have rehearsed lies so many times that they started to sound like facts. Thoughts of inadequacy, of fear, of comparison, of shame. Quiet thoughts, sometimes not even loud enough to notice, but powerful enough to shape how I walk into rooms, how I speak to others, how I treat myself. But I do not want to live on autopilot anymore. I do not want my thoughts to go unchecked, unchallenged, or unfiltered. I want to submit them to you, every internal narrative, every assumption, every silent agreement I have made about who I am or what I am capable of. If it does not sound like you, I do not want to believe it anymore. Lord, you said I could be transformed not just externally, not just behaviorally, but inwardly, deeply, in the place where everything begins. The mind, that sacred battlefield where truth meets lie, where peace meets anxiety, where destiny can be shaped or delayed. You said transformation is possible, but that it comes by renewal. Not once, not occasionally, but daily. And so I ask you today, renew my mind. Wash away the clutter, clear the fog, rebuild my inner world with thoughts rooted in who you are and who you say I am, not the false identity shaped by culture or comparison, but the real one anchored in grace, redeemed by love, rooted in truth. I know now that my thoughts are not just private musings, they are seeds, and what I allow to take root will eventually bear fruit. So teach me to plant truth, to water it with your word, to pull out what does not belong, to stop feeding fear with my focus. Help me to recognize the voices I have been listening to, the silent scripts I have accepted, the internal tones that echo criticism, condemnation, and control. Let your voice be louder. Let it interrupt unhealthy patterns. Let it reframe every assumption with grace. You are not just concerned with what I do. You care about how I think, how I perceive, how I process, because you know that renewed minds lead to renewed lives. That when I change the way I think, I change the way I live, love, serve, speak, and lead. Lord, Help me to dwell on what is good. Help me to focus on what is pure. Help me to meditate on what is noble, not just as a moral obligation, but because my soul depends on it. Because when my thoughts are cluttered, everything feels heavier. But when truth takes root, even hard days feel lighter. I want to be intentional with what I feed my mind, with what I watch, with what I read, with what I scroll past. I want to be a good steward of the mental space you have given me, not out of fear, but out of freedom, because I want my thoughts to be a place where you are welcome, where truth thrives, where peace resides. God, show me how to break free from negative cycles, from spirals of worry, from loops of self-doubt, from the constant pressure to predict and control every outcome. Remind me that I do not need to figure it all out. I just need to think from a place of trust, not fear. Let my mind become a sanctuary, not a war zone, a place where your word is alive, where scripture is not just something I read, but something I think with, something I fight with, something I rest in. When thoughts of discouragement try to settle in, let truth rise to confront them. When fear tries to forecast my future, let faith speak louder. When the enemy accuses, let grace defend. When weariness whispers you can tee, let your word remind me. Through Christ, you can. Father, teach me that every thought I agree with either brings me closer to you or pulls me away. And I do not want to partner with anything that is not from you. Not anymore. I want to think clearly, freely, hopefully. I want to think with the mind of Christ, not just on Sunday mornings or in moments of inspiration, but in the middle of my regular life. When I walk into decisions, let me think with wisdom. When I face conflict, let me think with love. When I experience delay, let me think with endurance. When I succeed, let me think with humility. Let my mind not just be renewed occasionally, but continually. Let it become my lifestyle. Let me be someone who learns to pause long enough to ask, is this true? Is this loving? Is this from God? Before I let a thought build a home in me. Even when it takes time, I trust that every intentional thought matters. Every time I reject a lie and replace it with truth, I am building something lasting. Every time I shift from fear to faith, from stress to stillness, from shame to sonship, I am growing. Thank you that I do not have to do this alone, that your Spirit helps me, that you guide me into all truth, that you are not rushing me, but you are inviting me into deeper wholeness starting from the inside out. So here I am again, in the quiet with you, surrendering my thoughts, the loud ones, the subtle ones, the ones I did not realize I had agreed with, rewriting the story with truth, renewing the script with your promises. This is where the change begins, not with more trying, but with more trusting, not with fixing everything outside, but with tending to what is within. And as my mind is renewed, so too will be my words, my patterns, my choices, my outlook, because when my thoughts align with truth, everything else begins to follow. And that is the life I want, a life built on clarity, peace, wisdom, and grace. A life that begins each day not just with good intentions, but with a renewed mind, ready to reflect you in every thought that leads every step forward. Father, after you have renewed my mind and steadied my thoughts, I feel a softening take place in my spirit as clarity rises and truth takes root. Something even more essential is being formed deep within me, a posture not just of confidence, but of humility. Not the kind that shrinks back or denies value, but the kind that walks in truth while staying low before you, God. Pride is sneaky. It does not always show up as arrogance or loud declarations. Sometimes it hides in my independence, in the way I try to solve things without asking you, in how I quietly believe that if I work hard enough or perform well enough, I need help. But I do need help. Every day. Every hour. You never asked me to be impressive. You asked me to be surrendered. You never measured my worth by my performance. You looked at the posture of my heart, and I do not want my heart to be stiff with pride or swollen with ego. I want it soft and low, ready, open, yielded. Lord, teach me again how to walk humbly with you. Not ahead of you in control, not behind you in fear, but beside you in trust. Show me how to slow down enough to listen, how to quiet the noise of my own ambition long enough to hear your whisper, how to choose dependence when my instinct is to push through on my own. You resist the proud but give grace to the humble. I do not want to miss that grace. I do not want to pretend I have got it all together when you are offering me something so much better than the illusion of strength, real peace, real connection, real covering that comes when I let go of the need to prove. Father, let my words reflect humility. Let my thoughts be anchored in grace. Let my actions serve others without expectation of return. Let me rejoice in others' victories without comparison. Let me lead without needing to be noticed. Let me speak truth without arrogance, serve without applause, and love without conditions. Sometimes I confuse humility with invisibility, but you are not asking me to disappear. You are asking me to live in such a way that people see you more clearly through me, to live with a deep awareness that all I have is a gift, that anything good in me is evidence of your presence, not my power. Help me release the pressure to be extraordinary. You are not looking for extraordinary. You are looking for willing, for yielded, for honest hearts that say, I do not have it all together, but I know the one who holds it all. That is the kind of life I want to live, not elevated by man, but rooted in you, God. When I am tempted to compare, pull me back to gratitude. When I want credit, remind me who deserves it. When I want control, remind me that surrender is the safest place to be. When pride tries to protect me from vulnerability, remind me that true strength is found in openness. Let humility not be a one-time act, but a daily practice, a rhythm of bowing low before you and rising with nothing to prove. Let it be the air I breathe in my thoughts, in my choices, in my interactions. Let it shape how I lead, how I respond, how I live. When I succeed, let me stay grounded. When I fail, let me stay teachable. When I am praised, let me remember who gave the gift. When I am overlooked, let me find my validation in you alone. You see, you know, you reward in ways the world never could. I want to be someone who carries humility into every space, not with false modesty, but with real awareness of how much I need you. Let my humility make space for others to feel safe, seen, and supported. Let it create room for community, not competition. Father, teach me to celebrate the greatness in others without shrinking back from what you have placed in me. Let me walk freely, but never boastfully. Let me hold authority without superiority. Let me live with confidence that is anchored in grace, not ego. Help me correct gently, speak truth with compassion, and lead from a place of empathy. Let humility be what steadies me when success tries to inflate me or criticism tries to undo me. Let me remember that I am not defined by praise or failure, but by your love and calling. I want to carry the same heart that Jesus carried, the one that knelt to wash feet, that touched the leper, that sat with the broken, that forgave the undeserving, that chose the cross over the crown. That is the kind of humility that changes the world, and that is the kind I want to reflect, one moment at a time. When I find myself wanting to be right more than kind, stop me. When I start to value reputation more than character, remind me of what matters most. When I try to hold things too tightly, show me that surrender is the door to deeper freedom. God, strip away anything in me that resists your voice. Unclench my hands, unblock my ears, open my heart. Let humility make me teachable. Let it make me wise. Let it protect me from the deception of self-sufficiency. Let it keep me leaning on you, not just in crisis, but in the ordinary moments where pride would rather pretend. This is the kind of life I long for, not one that shines outwardly but rots inwardly, but one that is steady, whole, genuine, one where humility and strength walk hand in hand, where peace is louder than ego, where your spirit leads and I follow willingly. And even when it is hard, even when pride presses to be heard, noticed, or defended, remind me that walking humbly is the highest way. It is the narrow road, but it is the one where I walk closest to you. And that is always worth it. Father, walking humbly with you has taught me to loosen my grip on the things I once chased and to hold tighter to what truly lasts. And as pride is quieted and my soul learns to lean, I begin to feel something rise that steadies me even deeper than peace. It is hope. Not wishful thinking, not surface optimism, but the kind of hope that anchors, the kind of hope that refuses to be moved by what I see, because it is rooted in what you have already spoken. God, I have known the sting of disappointment. I have tasted the ache of waiting, of praying with hands open and still walking away with nothing to hold. But through it all, you have shown me again and again that real hope is not based on outcomes, it is based on you. Hope is not fragile when it is tied to eternity. It does not shatter when plans fall apart. It does not evaporate when the road gets long. Because hope that is eternal does not cling to shifting seasons. It clings to an unchanging Savior. So today, I place my hope not in perfect circumstances, but in a perfect God, not in timelines, but in truth, not in guarantees of ease, but in the guarantee that you are always good, always near, always faithful. Lord, let this kind of hope shape how I walk through today. Let it soften the weight of uncertainty. Let it shift my posture from striving to expectancy. Let it lift my head when weariness bends it low. I do not want to carry hope like a backup plan. I want to carry it like a banner, bold, steady, confident in what is unseen, because faith is the substance of things hoped for, and I want that substance to be thick in me, not thin or hollow. Let it fill the empty places. Let it reframe the unknowns. Let it sing louder than fear. It stay when everything else feels unsure. Father, remind me of the foundation you have already laid, of the times you came through when I could not see the way, of the doors you opened after long seasons of silence, of the healing you brought where I thought there was no return. Let the memory of your faithfulness feed the fire of my hope. And when I am tempted to expect less, to guard my heart from further letdowns, remind me that I do not have to protect myself from disappointment when I rest in the arms of the one who holds time and eternity. You are not just the God of now. You are the God of forever. And when this life feels too loud, too fragile, too quick to change, remind me that I am anchored to something deeper than the day's events. I am held by a hope that surpasses what I can calculate, what I can control, what I can even understand. This hope is not naive. It does not deny reality. It acknowledges it fully, and then looks higher. It sees pain and still believes in redemption. It sits in the ashes and still declares beauty will rise. It watches things fall apart and still knows that nothing is wasted in your hands. Lord, I want to be known as a person of hope, the kind of hope that does not flinch in the dark, the kind that breathes deeply in the waiting, the kind that brings light into hard places simply by refusing to give up. Let my hope be contagious, not because I pretend everything is perfect, but because I have anchored myself to something that is. Let it draw people in, not to me, but to you. Let it awaken something in those who've stopped expecting good things. Let it shine in conversations, in silence, in service. Let it be consistent, not performative. God, help me see with eternal eyes, to remember that every trial is temporary, but the fruit it produces can be everlasting. Help me measure time not just by clocks and calendars, but by what you are building in me, by the roots going deeper, the faith growing stronger, the character being refined. When I look ahead and the future feels like a blur, let hope bring focus. Let it remind me that nothing is hidden from you, that the story is not over, that the final chapter has already been written in victory. Let my days be marked not by anxiety about what may or may not come, but by quiet trust that you go before me, that you prepare good things, that you waste nothing, that even detours are used for my good. Teach me to live with the end in mind, not in fear, but in fullness, to know that one day you will wipe every tear, right every wrong, and fulfill every promise, that this life is not the whole picture, that even now, in the in-between, you are preparing something I cannot yet imagine. Father, when discouragement creeps in, help me speak hope aloud. When the voices around me grow cynical, let mine stay steady in expectation. When the world feels like it is unraveling, let me carry the quiet strength of someone who knows how the story ends. Let my heart always come back to this truth. I am not anchored to outcomes, but to the one who holds all things together. And because of that, I can breathe, I can rest, I can rejoice even now. Let this hope be what carries me forward. Not hype, not emotion, but truth unchanging, eternal and full of grace. A hope that does not run dry. A hope that renews like morning mercies. A hope that leads me home. Father, as I sit here in the quiet of this morning, breathing in all that you have poured into these days of prayer, I feel something stir that is both soft and strong, a deep awareness that though I have spoken many words, this is not an ending. It is the unfolding of something deeper, a holy continuation. You have taken me through valleys and lifted me to mountaintops. You have sat with me in silence and danced with me in joy. You have walked beside me through shadows, and you have wrapped your presence around me like sunlight through curtains before dawn. And now, as the final words of this long prayer begin to form in my heart, I feel only gratitude, not because life is easy, but because you are near, Lord. You are the reason I made it to this moment. You are the breath behind every whispered prayer, the light that kept shining even when I closed my eyes. The comfort I did not always have words to describe, but always knew was there. You are the steady pulse beneath the rhythm of my life, the quiet force that teaches me again and again that I'm not alone. I came to you in weakness, and you met me with strength. I came weary, and you lifted my head. I came uncertain, and you anchored me in truth. Through every chapter, you have gently revealed not only who you are, but who I am in you, a child held, a soul seen, a heart known. So now, even as I release this final page of prayer, I do not feel a closing, I feel an opening, a widening, a quiet invitation to carry this rhythm forward, not just in long sentences, but in the way I breathe, in the way I notice, in the way I listen for you, even when no words are spoken. Let me begin again, not from pressure, but from peace. Let me rise each day not chasing perfection, but responding to mercy. Let me walk into each moment with the awareness that you are already there, that I do not have to strive for nearness when you are already closer than breath. And when the world grows loud again, when schedules fill and emotions rise, let this prayer echo quietly beneath it all. Let it remind me to pause, to return, to remember that I was made not just to perform, but to dwell, to abide, to rest, and to rise in step with you. Let these words remain not just as something I heard, but something I live. Let the truths whispered here shape how I carry burdens, how I offer kindness, how I forgive quickly, how I love boldly. Let them find their way into how I speak to myself, how I see others, how I face the unknown. I thank you for every person who has walked this road alongside me, for every heart that pressed play and kept showing up, for the one who whispered along, for the one who cried in silence, for the one who doubted and kept listening anyway, for the one who found just one sentence that felt like home. Thank you for gathering us in a quiet, sacred circle bound not by place, but by shared hunger for something real, something eternal, something more than what the world offers. Thank you for meeting us here, gently, personally, without demand, but with open arms. To those still listening now, I want to say from the depths of my heart, you are seen. Your prayers matter. Your journey is not unnoticed. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. If you are breathing, He is still working. If you are here, He is still calling. And if you have made it this far, something inside you longs for more. Hold on to that. Let these prayers become a doorway you keep walking through. Not because they are perfect, but because they pointed you to the one who is. Let them remind you that faith is not just a feeling, is a decision to stay near, to keep showing up, to trust even when it hurts, to worship even when it is quiet. If this journey moved you, I invite you to share it, not because of me, but because someone out there needs what you have found. Someone is on the edge of giving up. Someone is waiting for hope to rise again. Let your voice carry this forward. Let it multiply grace. Let it stir hearts awake. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Stay connected. Let us continue walking this out together day by day, breath by breath, faith upon faith. And if this prayer has met you in your silent places, I invite you to leave your own prayer or reflection in the comments below. Your words may be the healing someone else is waiting for. This is not goodbye. This is the beginning of a deeper rhythm, a life wrapped in prayer. Not just for a moment, but for the long road ahead. A life that keeps returning, that keeps trusting, that keeps opening to the presence of God again and again. So now, as this prayer settles into its final lines, I leave you not with an ending, but with an image. Picture this, the first breath of morning light slipping across your windowsill, a gentle wind stirring the trees just outside, the stillness before the day begins. That is where He is. That is where He will meet you. Again tomorrow, and again the day after that, in every new mercy, in every quiet beginning, in every whisper that says you are not alone.